Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
For centuries, ancient cultures knew the secrets to longevity, vitality, and healing. Now, modern science is catching up. Ageless Blueprint is a podcast that will reveal the modern secrets of better health and a better life. Join Dr. Eldred Taylor here today and every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. As together we discover the secrets to better health through science and spirituality. A better life with Ageless Blueprint starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
Hello, everybody. Good morning. It is Wednesday. What is this? January the 14th. We're almost halfway through January. And I am Dr. Taylor, the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD. And I'm excited about today because I want to, from the beginning, I always said, I had a lecture, I said, I want to make you an honorary gynecologist so that you can be your own health advocate and you can make your own decisions about your own health. And that's been my goal for 25, 30 years, ever since we wrote that book, Are Your Hormones Making You Sick? And ever since I kind of changed my practice into understanding physiology more than I understand pharmacology. And so I've been on this for 25 years. And for 10 years, I was out lecturing and things. And for the last 5 or 6 years, I really haven't been out talking about this until last year. And you may have heard my story. I just decided that as I got older, I'm going to do greater things. I'm not going to shrink up and kind of wither away. So I'm back on the crusade trying to help women understand hormones. And that's why I created Ageless Blueprint. And now I am really focusing on hormone clarity because I really don't think you can live an ageless life if your hormones are out of balance, especially estrogen, progesterone, and primarily cortisol. I've been really revisiting stress and how it affects you and how it keeps you from being ageless. So anyway, this is what I'm finding out. I started looking at some of these Facebook groups that are trying to help women get through menopause. And what I'm seeing is actually frightening. It's all of these complex questions that are being put on Facebook and asking comments from people. So people are getting 20, 30, 40 comments, and they're all different. They're all talking about, this is what happened to me, and I tried this, and this worked, this didn't work. And I'm like, oh my God, why are people going to Facebook? Well, I know why. It's because doctors aren't giving them the information that they need and that they can use to actually make good decisions about their life. There's so much different information out there. And the reason why I even started doing this is because a patient said, there's so much information out there, doctor, I know what you're talking about, but I hear all of this stuff out there and I get confused. So I've developed something to try and help women, men, whoever, is a hormone clarity information source. So I'm going to get to that. But first, let's describe the problem, describe why we have this problem, and what I'm trying to do to try and help solve the problem. All right. So let's go to the slides. All right. The Facebook crowdsourcing hormone crisis, and I really do think it's a crisis, is that why are women turning to social media and what's missing in modern hormone care? And if you've been following me, you know what I'm going to say is missing. It's proper testing. There's no problem with blood pressure. There's no confusion about blood pressure because everybody knows how to take the blood pressure, what a blood pressure reading means. Nobody has confusion about temperature. Your temperature is supposed to be 98.6. You know what test to use. It's a thermometer. Either you put it in your mouth or in some orifice, or you have things where you can put it on your head, or they can feel the skin temperature, but you know what you're measuring and you know how to measure it. This is what's missing. And that's why there's so much confusion. And I just want to emphasize how much confusion there really is out there. All right. So I don't know if you can read this, but I'm going to try and read it. It says, uh, this I went up to 0.25 to 0.375 on my estradiol patch. And I'm totally bloated, 5 pounds heavier in 2 weeks. And I have major swelling around my knees that I just noticed tonight. This kind of bloating or water weight normal on HRT. I packed pants on a holiday trip and couldn't fit into them 10 days later, and eating less and exercising more. Do I wait it out or go back down to 0.25? Also, I've gained 20 pounds since starting HRT September. Why? I felt great the first month, and now I'm tired and achy again. Can you believe all of that is on there, and she thinks some layperson is going to help her? Let's look at this. I thought my hypoactive thyroid was to blame, so I started levothyroxine and brought my thyroid numbers to normal. I tried the testosterone pellets again, same lack of response. I am using estradiol cream. I've heard of estrogen patches and the estrogen, progesterone, testosterone combo pellets, but because insurance doesn't cover it, I don't want to lose. Rebel, do you see what I'm talking about? Even if they came to me as a patient, it would be hard for me to understand what the heck they're saying.
Oh, yes, that's crazy. I mean, I think I'm lost just in hearing all of this stuff.
Yeah, she's talking about pellets and creams and this, and I did a pellet and the insurance, and this is not isolated. This is what I see every day in several of these groups. I just saw one today. I didn't have time to put it up there. But all of these stuff, asking about dosages of estrogen.
Why aren't they asking why are they turning into all of these things? Okay, that's my question. Why are you turning into all these things?
They can't get answers anywhere else. And that's what I'm going to show is that we are the medical community or whoever, the healthcare community, they're not giving them any answers. Again, I've been talking about this for 25 years and nothing has changed. Okay, so these are Facebook posts. This is fear, urgency, and desperation. Whenever you're in fear, you will not make good decisions. And that's what I'm trying to help people to avoid.
Doesn't fear cause the stress hormone to go up as well?
Yes, I know. Exactly. So by them doing this, it's just making the situation worse. They're just expressing their fear and their urgency and desperation. And you cannot get better when you are in that state of mind. And that's why when people come to my office, I tell them that that 50% of my job is to get you to understand this and why it's happening and how I might be able to help you to figure all of this out just by doing the proper test. That's what they're missing. That's why she doesn't know what estrogen to use, because she hadn't had the proper test to see if she actually needs it and how much progesterone she needs to counteract it. So it's the lack of knowledge that is causing the fear. When you have no knowledge, you have no power. So you give your power up to Facebook, up to TikTok, up to the doctors, up to a menopause expert, up to me. I don't even want you to give your power up to me. I just want you to have the knowledge so that you can take your power back. That's my goal. I don't want you to say that I'm the hormone expert, even though I try to be, but you need to make your own decision for your own life. So this is, I mean, it really is sad. And I'm embarrassed that the medical community has caused these people to go to Facebook to try and get an answer, because the answer they are getting does not feel right to them. And so anyway, let's go. Let's keep going. So the pattern. This isn't about bad questions. It's about missing structure. So you see that these people have multiple symptoms and they have no shared framework. They don't know how to test. They don't know how to adjust their dose. They don't know how pellets and creams and all of these things work together. Are they good? Are they bad? Do they help? So they have all of these questions, but there's no framework on how to do it. Okay. And if you get 23 comments in that Facebook group, you are going to get 23 different anecdotes. It is showing what helped that particular person, because that particular person is a certain age, she's a certain weight, she has a certain environment that she lives in, she has a certain amount of children and a certain amount of extended family, and she has a certain job, she has a certain diet, she has a certain routine, she has a so you see, so that worked for that particular person in that particular situation, in that particular environment, in that particular stage of their life, in that particular, and you don't know what that person, does she have other issues? Does she have lupus, or does she have some other type of hypertension? And that's the reason why it's causing her hormones to act different. You understand what I'm saying? Is no way you can ask 25 different people. You can't ask 25 different doctors what to do, and they will all tell you something different. That
It
is the
seems
problem.
people need to realize that we are different, just like fingerprints. Everybody has a different fingerprint. So if they
Exactly.
thought of themselves like that, maybe they would understand we are all different. It's not a
Yeah,
cookie cutter environment. One size don't fit all, one size don't fix all.
I know. And I don't know. I think sometimes misery loves company, and I'm not. I don't, I'm trying to make sure I'm not blaming it, but misery loves company. All these women are in misery, and so they get together and they talk about how confused and how fearful and how frustrated they are, and at least they know they're not alone. But that's not good enough. It's like when there is a obvious solution out there, I feel obligated to try and tell you about it. Okay. So, there's no trusted guide. And I'm trying to build trust in you and and hopefully that you'll allow me to guide you just a little bit. I don't want to tell you what to do. I just want to guide you toward the proper information so then you can decide what to do. All right. So the system is the problem, not the patient. That's what I'm saying. When I said misery loves company, I'm not trying to say you guys just want, women just want to complain. I'm just saying they need some kind of comfort, and so at least they can share their experiences. They don't feel alone, but that is a poor substitute for the medical community not giving them good information. All right, so why is this happening now? I did a podcast and did some TikTok videos on that FDA black box warning. So let me try and explain what that did. So back in the early 2000s, late 1900s, 1900, they did a study called the Women's Health Initiative. And what they wanted to prove is that Permin and Provera, that they were helpful in menopause. They were doing all this great stuff. So they did this Women's Health Initiative. And all the pharmaceutical companies said, just wait till this study comes out. It's going to prove everything that we've said about this hormone and about Permin and Provera. Everything that we've said, it's going to prove it. So then the Women's Health Initiative came out, and it didn't say that. It started talking about how the Provera part was the problem and how estrogen and progesterone. Well, it was just saying that, hey, all of those great benefits is not true. There's problems with hormone replacement. Now, again, the problem is there was no structure. They were given horse urine and there's something called Provera that wasn't estrogen and progesterone. That was the problem. But what they did was they put a black box warning on it, and it's been on there for like 20 years. So then in the meantime, the pharmaceutical industry and doctors have been trying to disprove the Women's Health Initiative. They didn't like the outcome, so they tried to disprove it. And they've been doing that for 20 years. So finally they get somebody to remove the black box warning. But nothing changed. There's no new structure, there's no new way of testing, there's no new nothing. They just took the warning off. It's been a problem since its beginning. Hormone replacement really started around the 1960s. It's always been a problem because we've never had a framework and never had proper testing. So just removing the black box warning, it just took all of the restraints off. Now everybody's talking about everything because there's no guardrails. All right. So that's the problem with the FDA warning. Now it's a wild, wild west where some people had some kind of restrictions on them. Now they're like, oh, we can talk about estrogen, we can talk about whatever we want. That's the problem. All right. And then there's an explosion of these telehealth hormone clinics. There's people where you can get GLP-1s, you can get Viagra, you can get whatever you want from a hormone clinic. So what kind of knowledge are they going to give you? They're going to tell you. Yeah, go ahead.
They wanting to know, when all of this came out, did anybody ask what these things are made of before, or did they just hear the hype, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight?
Yeah, you talking about permanent Provera? Not knowing that
No,
was horse.
the
Oh, what?
GLP-1 things.
Oh, the GLP-1 things. Well, here's what I say. GLP-1s, I'm not totally against GLP-1s, okay? GLP-1s are actually kind of bioidentical. They're these small amino acids. So they're made up of things that your body makes. The problem with GLP-1s is when they're not monitored appropriately, just like hormones, when they're not monitored appropriately. If the GLP-1 is making you lose muscle mass, all weight loss is not good weight loss. If you lose muscle mass, that is a problem. That is detrimental to your health. If you lose fat mass, that is not detrimental to your health. So when we do use GLP-1s, we always insist that they do body composition analysis so that we can see what they are losing. And GLP-1s to me are a short-term thing to do while you lose the weight, and then you can start to implement different things to keep the weight off. Okay, so that's how I look at that. And I know that's kind of off, but since it was a question, I went on and answered it. But that's the thing. It's all about context. Yeah, do I understand GLP-1s? What do they do? How long should I be on it? What's the problem? Not losing muscle. If I can lose fat and get my hemoglobin A1C down, and then I can maintain a normal diet and do the right things now that I have the weight off, I don't think it's a bad thing. But if it's a crutch, then it's a problem. All right. So anyway, so they have all of these telehealth hormone clinics where you can get anything online. Even hey, I can talk about myself. You got other people on podcasts who are saying different things. You have so it is a lot of information out there. So what I'm trying to do, I'm not trying to convince you to do what I'm telling you to do. I'm trying to teach you how your body works so that you can figure out if this decision supports my body and how it works, or does it cause harm to my body. So, but anyway, social media will fill the gap. If you go there, if you ask a question, somebody will answer it. Okay. And access increased faster than understanding. So I want to say this. I told you we wrote these books 25 years ago. And nobody was really talking about this 25 years ago. And when I was on the lecture circuit, nobody was talking about it. Now it is so popular. It's all over the social media. And people have gotten access to this information without understanding it. They're doing blood testing. Hey, I did a whole residency in OBGYN and we never drew blood because we knew that the blood didn't tell us anything. So I had to change my whole way of thinking. I had to understand how blood works and how saliva works and all that stuff. A lot of people are jumping into this and they don't know what they're talking about and don't understand hormones and hormone physiology. So they just tell you about their anecdotal experiences. All right. So access without understanding creates panic. So a lot of people think they need more hormones. They need more prescriptions, or they'll say, oh, look, I'm more natural. I want to use peptides and I want to do this and I want to do that. They think that is more, more, and more because they don't understand the root cause of their problem. If you test appropriately and see what the root causes are, cortisol, estrogen, progesterone, those are the basics. You see that it's not more prescriptions. You need more understanding of what is actually happening as your body and your hormones change over time. And that includes men and women. And especially cortisol is going to change over time as your stress increases and your stress builds up. You're going to have cortisol issues unless you live in some type of utopia for all of your life. You are going to build up stress and you are going to have to try and increase your resilience and your resistance. All right. So anyway, you don't need more prescriptions. You don't need more opinions. And I'm telling you, you'll get plenty of them on Facebook and you can see that. You don't need more fear. Okay. And people are so fearful of things. I'm sorry about the background noise. People are so fearful. And fear is the opposite of what you want to be feeling if you're trying to heal and you're trying to get back in balance. Fear keeps you keeps you isolated, keeps you where you can't grow, you can't change, you don't want to move, you want to stay right where you are. And you got to think, confusion allows you not to change. So now you're going to do the same thing that you've always done, or you're going to do what everybody else is doing because you're so fearful you don't know how to move individually. So you move with the group. And that's why the Facebook groups feel so comforting. Because you don't have any confidence, then you look for confidence in someone else. If someone on Facebook says something and they say it with a lot of confidence, you think that they're an authority because it helps you because you don't have that confidence. So you're looking for somebody on Facebook to give you some confidence. And I want to give you that confidence through knowledge and not through outsourcing or crowdsourcing your hormone treatment. All right. So information without orientation increases your anxiety. So that's just a fact. You know, if you have limited information and no context, all of it just jumbles around in your brain and you end up being paralyzed. Okay. You can was it paralysis by analysis? You can also get paralysis by overloading information that's different from one another, and it just causes confusion. All right. This is what Facebook groups can't provide. What's missing in crowdsourcing? You're not going to get any kind of pattern recognition because all of those anecdotes are going to be different based on those different people. So it's going to be hard to figure out, pellets, they must be good. Oh, no, but these 5 or 6 people said the pellets caused a problem. So creams are what I'm supposed to do. But no, this lady, she just said she gained 20 pounds using some estrogen dose. All right, well then, okay, I can't use estrogen. Oh, this is progesterone. I used progesterone and this happened. Well, really, they didn't even use progesterone. They were using some synthetic form like norgestimate or medroxyprogesterone acetate. They're talking about Facebook, what progesterone did, and they weren't even on progesterone. So that's why I'm saying you're not going to get any patterns. You're not going to be able to figure out, this all makes sense because it's all the reports of several different people in several different situations. So you're not going to get longitudinal thinking. Hey, look, this is how this happened. These are the things that contributed to my condition. I'm at this point right now. I know what's going on. I know what I need to change. So now I'm going to think longitudinally. I'm going to think about how I can correct these things so that my life will be different in the future. All right. You're not going to get nervous system regulation because I've told you is that as long as you're in fear, nothing good is going to happen to you. And that's why I always try to explain what is going on. So try and put some context into their life. Hey, look, when you were taking care of your parents for 5 years, it stressed you out. It wore you out. That's why you're anxious and you can't sleep. And that's why you have no energy. It's not because you needed antidepressants or a sleeping pill. This is what happened. And this is how we can correct it. 50% of the work is to get them to have some context of their life so that they don't think that their life is spiraling out of control. This is something that can be understood and can be corrected. And then it's context over anecdotes. That's what I've been saying, is that if I can get you to contextually understand what is going on with you, you will forget all of these antidotes. You don't care how something happened or helped or didn't help somebody else. It's irrelevant to you because you are a unique individual. We need to see what your estrogen progesterone ratio. We need to see what your cortisol curve looks like. We need to understand how that fits into your lifestyle. How has that limited you in the past? If you changed, how could it accelerate you in the future? So that's what context does. It gives you a framework, and that's what is missing. All right. Now,
Real quick, we have a question on that curve.
okay, great.
Does that
Right.
curve you mentioned change through life?
Of course. Okay. So I've done cortisol lectures before, but let me quickly talk about that because I want to do the doctor part of this after the break. So cortisol. Cortisol is your stress hormone. So you have eustress and you have distress. So eustress means that I have daily stress of waking up, eating, going to work. So I need energy. So cortisol mobilizes glucose so you have energy during the day. So cortisol should be high in the morning and then it should slowly dissipate and go down at night. So you have most of your energy in the morning. You do all the things you need to do during the day. You get tired, you go to sleep, and you come back and do it the next day. Well, as long as you have normal stress, that's fine. You get this normal curve. But in this society, we don't have normal stress. Most of the time, we're stressed out 24/7. We're worried about our job, we're worried about our kids, our parents, our finances, what's going on in the world, all of the news, and all of these things. So 24/7, we're up here. We got all of this cortisol going on, and your body is in this fight or flight, but you're not fighting or you're not flighting anywhere. So now all of that glucose, what does that do? It gets stored away as fat. Now, there's two problems. You can't stay up here forever. After a while, your adrenal gland gets fatigued. That's what makes cortisol. So then that curve starts to go down. I know you can't see because of this fake background, but anyway, it starts to go down. And what happens is in the morning, instead of having this much energy, you have this much. And at night, instead of having this much energy, you have this much. So during the day, you don't have enough. And at night, you have too much. So you have trouble sleeping, or you wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and you are tired when you wake up. So the accumulation of stress over your life alters that curve. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So your life experiences will either enhance that curve and make it stay normal, or if you have a lot of stressful life experiences, you're going to initially have a lot of cortisol so you can try and get through those experiences. But then with time and as that chronic stress increases, you're going to be able to handle it less and less and less. And that just increases your stress more, because now this stress that you were able to handle becomes overwhelming. And now it just spirals down. So that's how life ends up pressing on you and pressing you down. So I hope that answered the question. You can ask if that explained it, but yes, cortisol changes throughout life, and hormones, especially in women, change throughout life through puberty and reproductive stage, perimenopause, menopause. Yes, there's a whole flow to that, and that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. The menopause education crisis. I did a seminar on this, but the reason why they're going to Facebook is because doctors have not been educated about menopause. That's the reason why they're going to Facebook group. It's not the patient's fault. It's the medical establishment fault, is that we have not taught doctors, and we're still not teaching doctors how to handle menopause. I had to teach myself 25 years ago because the medical establishment didn't do it then, and they're not doing it now. So we're going to talk about this when we come back. So let's go to break.
We are going to a quick break, so stay with us as we explore the ageless blueprint right here on W4HC Radio and Talk4 TV. An ancient secret with a modern twist for better health and vitality. Dr. Taylor will be right back. Taking care of your health shouldn't mean taking a handful of pills every day. At Taylor MD Formulations, they create doctor-developed supplements that combine the best natural ingredients so you get the results you need with fewer pills. Taylor MD Formulations is backed by science, designed for real life with real results. Less pills, better health, doctor approved. Shop now at TaylorMDFormulations.com and discover smarter supplements for smarter health. That's TaylorMDFormulations.com. We are back for more of Ageless Blueprint. Once again, let's join Dr. Taylor for more insights and research on the ancient secret to better health and a better life in modern times. Here's your host, Dr. Eldred Taylor.
All right, we're back. This is the Ageless Blueprint. I am Dr. Taylor, the hormone doctor and the spiritual MD, and we're talking about outsourcing or crowdsourcing your hormone therapy advice. We're talking about how people are going to social media to get information, to to get detailed information about dosages and methods of application like creams, and they're asking just general people that they don't know, and they're taking in their comments, and I guess they're using their advice. I'm not exactly sure. So why is that happening? Well, the doctors are missing it too. Okay. Why do patients feel unheard? Well, because you get 10 to 15-minute visits. Okay. It's no way you can understand. You saw that information that they put on Facebook. You can't listen to all of that, contemplate it, digest it, and come up with a way to explain it to the patient in 10 or 15 minutes. The shortest new patient visit I have is 30 minutes. I try to collect a lot of information before they ever come in so that I can start as early as I can, helping to explain to them why they are feeling like the way they are. What has happened in their life, what stage in their life are they, and putting it all together for them. But you can't do that in a 10 or 15-minute visit. Now, even if you had more time, this is the real problem. I did this lecture probably 3, 4, 5 months ago, actually a podcast. I did this because I saw an article that said in California, they're trying to force their students, the medical students, to take a course in menopause, because they said only 9%, it was either 7 or 9% of the physicians coming out of medical school in their residency felt like they knew how, they understood and knew how to treat menopausal symptoms. Okay, so that means like 91% of doctors don't have any idea how to treat women going through perimenopause and menopause. That is why they're going to the Facebook groups. And that's why I'm trying to also educate doctors to get more of these doctors to understand how they can better manage these patients. Because again, for 20 to 25 years, they're doing the same thing. And then when they lifted that FDA black box warning, it just exposed it even more. Now that 91% of people who don't know what they're doing, they're allowed to guess now. They're allowed to go and listen to somebody else and just do what they're doing and not actually understanding what is going on. So we've got to get doctors to understand menopause. And the only way I know to tell doctors how to do it is to get patients to go in and demand it. That's what the pharmaceutical companies do. They get you to want something and they tell you to go ask your doctor. So I want women and men to understand hormones and saliva testing. That is the key. That is the framework. Once you get the proper information, you can make the proper decisions. That is the key. So what we want to do is get enough women, get enough people who are listening to this podcast, who are sharing my information so that they get the saliva test, they get the information, they go to the doctor and said, look, this is what was going on with me. Don't you want to learn more about this? A lot of them will say no, but a few of them will say yes. Somebody like me 25 years ago said yes to a patient who asked me a question that I did not know the answer to. And I went and started searching for the answer, and it's led me to this point right here. So that's what we're going to talk about, is how can I get that education to the patient or the client to force the doctors to learn this new method of handling hormone issues. All right. So what we want to do is to get these doctors to get out of looking at blood level values and try to interpret them. You can't believe all of the spinning that people do for blood levels to try and act like they're telling them something about their hormone experience. That's why you keep saying, hey, I know there's something wrong, and the doctor keeps telling me my blood tests are normal. That's because the blood test is not a reflection of what your hormones are doing. The saliva testing is. All right, so that is the key. If you can just understand that concept, I don't take my blood pressure with a temperature gauge. It's the wrong test. So you got to understand that I don't make hormone decisions using the wrong test. If I use my blood pressure cuff to decide whether or not I need blood pressure medicine, I will make the right decision. If I use the wrong test to check my blood pressure, I'm going to be going to Facebook groups and asking, what do you do about blood pressure? Okay. Does that make sense, Rebel?
Yes. Excuse me. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Is that if you use the wrong test, you're going to make the wrong decisions. Or you're going to go to Facebook and ask them to help you make a decision. If you have the right information, you can make the right decision on your own. You don't have to ask the doctor or Facebook or anything. You'll say, I understand this. Yes, I need to do this. I understand this. No, I don't need to do that. All right. So then you stop symptom chasing. I hear these doctors say, oh, I don't look at the lab tests. I just go by symptoms. The doctor is just saying, hey, I know the blood tests don't show me anything. So all I have left is your symptoms. And I'm telling you, is that no, we were taught you listen to symptoms, you decide what you think might be going on. We would call it a differential diagnosis. Okay, you have all of these different things that could be happening, and you would say, hey, if I test this, it'll rule this out. If I test this, it'll rule this out. It's all about having the proper test to tell you what the symptoms are telling you. All right. And so just to say I go by symptoms only is not the medical way to do things. But in menopause, we allow that to happen. And I'm telling you, women, you can't keep allowing that to happen. All right. And doctors don't have time for education. I'm telling you, they're doing these 10 or 15-minute visits. They're fighting with insurance companies. They're going back and forth to the hospital. They don't have time for real education and understanding. So a lot of times it's whatever the drug rep comes in and tells them, and this will help your patient's symptoms. They're like, okay, fine. Can I do that in 10 or 15 minutes? Okay, that's what I'll do. All right. So that's the problem. And that's why I had to get out of the medical establishment, because I knew I couldn't do what I needed to do in a 10 or 15-minute visit and worrying about insurance and all of those kind of things. I had to get out of that rat race. All right. So how can I help you? So this is what I've done. You heard me talk about my school. Well, over the holidays and everything, I've really been trying to think about how I can get this information out. Because I keep talking about these books that we wrote. Well, I'm learning about ChatGPT, and I'm learning how I learned how I can make a personalized ChatGPT that has only my information in there. So you don't get all of these different opinions. So I have my Are Your Hormones Making You Sick in there. I have my stress connection book in there. And I'm telling you, if you learn that information, you're going to be 200 steps ahead of most people. So I put it all in there, and I'm going to have it. It's free. I'll show you how you can get to it, and you can go in there and you can ask it questions. Hey, can you explain to me saliva testing? Can you explain to me how thyroid and cortisol works? And you can ask it your questions that you are concerned about, and it will give you some good baseline information. So what I believe is that before you have treatment, before you have protocols, before decisions, you need education. Okay. I hear so many women say, oh, I knew I shouldn't have had that hysterectomy. I knew I shouldn't have uh, done whatever. I knew I shouldn't have had the chemotherapy. I knew I shouldn't have had my breast removed. Just something didn't feel right about it. So I'm trying to give you enough knowledge to go with your intuition so that you can make decisions. You won't make irreversible decisions with limited information. Because once you make a decision to remove your uterus or your breast, the chemo, those decisions are irreversible. You can't put the uterus back. You can't bring your fertility back, all of that. So I want to have a place where you can get some information before you make some of those decisions. All right. So patterns over panic. So when you start to see that there's a pattern to all of this, at certain times of your life, certain things happen, and this is why they happen. And then you're calm. You say, okay, I know what this is. I know how to correct it. I know what's going on. No panic. I know what this is. I know this is not an emergency situation. It's just a normal pattern. And you want to have understanding before you take an action. Before you make a decision, you want to have some understanding. So let me share my screen, Rebel, and I'm just going to show you how you get to the school. Let me see how I share screen. Hopefully I can do this right. Hormone Clarity Preview Chat. Okay. So this is it. So if you go to here, can you see this? Rebel?
I think it's putting up the same one. I have this one.
Oh,
I have this.
I'm having share screen. Is this? It should. Can you see me moving around?
No, I can't. I see two of the same.
How do I share my screen here then?
Wait, here we go.
You saw it?
That one must be it. Yes, I got it.
Okay, so I just got out of it. So let me see. Okay. So it's sharing now. You see me moving around? Is it sharing my screen? Hello?
I'm working on it. Let me take one
Oh,
down.
okay.
There we go. Yep, gotcha.
Okay, so now you can see it. All right.
Yes.
So here's where you go. School.com/ageless. And you'll go to an about page and they'll ask you to sign up. It's free. Okay, you can start here. Okay, and they'll tell you everything. And this is free. It's called a Hormone Clarity Preview. Okay, and so you click here, and these are different prompts that you could ask. But let's say, okay, let's do this. I'm gonna copy this one. And then I'm gonna go to this, and it's actually gonna load up in my chat GPT, but so let's ask that question. Feel tired but wired. What hormone patterns is associated with? Hopefully it's gonna work here, you guys. It's a very common phrase, but it usually points to a stress hormone pattern, not a lack of willpower or motivation. Normally, your stress hormones, especially cortisol and adrenaline, rise in the morning to help you wake up and gradually fall. This is really answering the question that patient asked. You remember she was like, does that curve change with time? So it's
Yes.
explaining exactly what I said. Rise in the morning to help you wake up, gradually fall as the days go on. So that's why I'm telling you, it's really talking like I talk. Okay, because I put podcasts in here, I put books in here. So it's really like I'm giving you a free copy of my books, but it's given to you so that you can ask the question that you're concerned about. And like whatever and then, at the bottom, how ChatGPT will ask you, do you want to know something else? Do you want to know something else? So this is my alternative to Facebook. This is a place where you can go for free, and I would love for you to join my school group. We have a community here. Let me try and go back to school. Let's go back. So we'll go here. School. I spelled it wrong. s.com/ageless, and then it's also /about. So I'm gonna show you how you would go in. So this is I'm in the back office, but here you was like join now. It would be free. It would ask you to identify yourself, and you'd be a part of community. Usually 2 to 3 times a week, I post something, and this is how many members we have now. I would love for you to be a member, and I'm building this. This is a year old, and I'm building it. I'm trying to make it as good as possible, and then once I hope that you understand this through the chat GPT, that you understand enough to actually order the saliva test. This is the key to the understanding. This is the key to keep you out of the Facebook group, is we do the saliva test. I'll give you a video review of what the saliva test is showing. I'll give you recommendations on how you can correct it. And if we need to do a one-on-one call, we can do that. And then after you get that, we're going to have this Hormone Clarity home base, where now that you understand the saliva test, this kind of keeps you grounded. It'll answer other questions. You can ask specific questions about this. Now, this is actually going to be paid, but these two are free. And of course, the saliva test has a cost to it. But I just want you to get here and to be a part of the community. I'll answer questions and things there. So this is really the culmination of how do I help these people who are going to Facebook groups. So if you know somebody who is concerned about hormones or whatever, tell them to come here. They can get this chat GPT. It's free, and it will answer most of your basic questions, and it will come in context in one frame of mind and not 29 different anecdotes. trying to give you a framework of, how your hormones actually work. So I think I've stopped sharing my screen, have I? And I can go back to the slides.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go back to the slides. I think I got one or two more slides, maybe. So so do you think that could be helpful, Rebel?
Most definitely.
Yeah. So if whatever you were asking Facebook now, this is what I'll tell you. If you go in there and asking, how should I adjust my estrogen dose? This is for educational purposes only. You don't really need to understand how to adjust your estrogen dose. You just need to know what tests you need to help you decide what estrogen dose you need to be on. All right. So that's the difference. You just need to know the right information. So, what hormone clarity actually means, it's not really advice. Okay. It's information to help you to make a decision. And don't give it up to the doctor. Don't give it up to whoever says they're a hormone expert. Nobody is a hormone expert on you other than you if you get in tune with your body. And you will become an expert on your body. And women are better at that than men. And I just need to encourage you to continue to stay in tune with your body and add some information to it, knowledge to it. You'd be surprised at how you can take control of your health. All right. So in that chat GPT, we want you to learn how hormones actually interact. We want you to understand stress physiology. That's the most important one. Stress is 90% of the issue. 90% of visits to primary care physicians are for stress-related complaints or disorders. If you can understand stress and understand what it is doing to your physiology and understand how you can correct that through mind work, through just understanding how stress affects you, you would be able to overcome a lot of your problems. So seeing trends over time, in that when you do that home base, there's a follow-up test that also comes with that. So that once you try the recommendations or whatever, we want to prove that those test results got better. Okay, that they got back into the normal range. So we want to see what happens over time because hormone clarity is not a one-time event. It is a pattern. Like I said, your life changes, your hormones change. So this is a continual process. And so knowing what questions matter, what really matter, does it matter how, what dose are you on? Is it a pellet? The question is understanding, how does this work? How will this affect me down the road? How does cortisol and thyroid and estrogen, how do they all work together? It may seem complicated, but once you do the proper test, it's not nearly as complicated as you might think. All right, we got like one or two more. So hormone changes, life change. That's why we said this is ongoing. Okay, as life changes, hormones change. We usually test people's hormones at least twice a year because things change. All right, everything changes. All right, clarity is a process. It's not a moment in time. So, what is the cost of getting this wrong? You make fear driven decisions. You do unnecessary medication changes because you're just doing trial and error. You lose trust in the establishment because they're not giving you good advice. They're removing FDA rules and not giving you some kind of information after that. And then they'll tell you after 60, you have to stop. Well, 60, if I'm talking about ageless blueprint, 60 is not the end of your life. So what are you doing? So it doesn't matter how old you are. What matters is, are your hormones balanced? And how do you figure that out is through the proper test. And then you have these long-term consequences because you made these fear-driven decisions and now you have regret. And regret is stressful. All right. So a different model is you have calm daily guidance, education without diagnosis, structure without pressure, support without crowdsourcing. So closing thought. Women aren't confused because they're uninformed. They're confused because no one has slowed things down and actually tried to educate them about what is going on in their bodies. So I think I've timed this perfectly. We got 30 seconds left. Any questions?
No, we covered them as we went.
Okay. All right, good. So I hope this helps somebody. I see you in our Ageless Blueprint community there. Uh, uh, you go to agelessblueprintpodcast.com if you want to go over this again. But hopefully I'll see a few less Facebook questions, and I'll see more questions in our community where we can answer the questions and put it all together for you guys. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope this helps you, and I hope to see you inside my Ageless Blueprint community. And if not, I'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for joining Dr. Taylor today. If you missed any part of this show, just check out the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Ageless Blueprint is every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time on W4HC Radio at W4HC.com. Together, we discover the ancient secrets to better health through science and spirituality made for modern times. Until then, feel free to check out agelessblueprintpodcast.com and TaylorMDFormulations.com for more information.